Monday, April 12th. How's it going, everybody? So, Monday morning, you know what that means. Take it easy. Don't want to overtrade. Get a little too crazy. Get antsy. Start clicking buttons like a madman. Sometimes I'm guilty of doing that, especially on the first day of the week. So just want to relax. Do what I always do. Try to focus on good setups. So starting from top down. Looking at SPY. I mean, this is very extended. A lot of green candles in a row. It is above the short-term moving averages. I think it would be healthy to eventually have some sort of pullback. I have no idea when that's going to happen. But just knowing that it has made a pretty big move pretty fast. So the levels I'm looking at SPY, I usually keep it very simple on the indexes or just on the ETF, SPY and QQQ, just prior day's high, 411.67. Does it take it out, stay above it? Or does it take out the prior day low, 408.26? Because in order for a move to the downside to start, I feel like it's going to kind of have to take out like 1 day of buyers. Right, so take out prior day's low, stay below it. Does look like it has room down to the 9 EMA on the daily. Now looking at the Qs, so nice strong move. This is yet to make an all-time high, so maybe this can keep the market up, but it does look pretty good. I mean, all-time high is 338.19, so that's obviously a major level. And then prior day's high, 337.32, and then prior day's low, 332.92. If it starts to make a new all-time high, Qs looks pretty good. Maybe technology can hold up and keep this market just kind of grinding higher. But in order for this to possibly pull back, it's got to take out that prior day low first, right? And if it does, it looks like it has some room down to the 9 EMA. Now just getting into the watch list. So Tesla is my main watch every single day. Big fan of trading it just because it has big range, usually some sort of clean setup on it. And really, it's kind of one good trade attitude. You really only need one good move on Tesla to put up a decent day. So just looking at some basic levels here, it is above the 9 EMA on the daily. It is getting tight above 708. This does look like it's on possible breakout. So not there yet, but hopefully it could get there. Would be nice to see this get going. But for now, just focusing on pre-market high, 693.80. Pre-market low is 678.71. I think this is kind of a mistake candle right here, but just knowing that this area, pre-market low, and then if for some reason it gets above 700, starts to work its way to 708, I think this daily chart starting to look pretty good. Long period of consolidation, almost a little bit like a reverse head and shoulders. I don't really care too much about that pattern, but just knowing that if it gets above this and it can clear the 50 SMA, maybe this can finally get going again. Also watching Netflix. So just from the daily chart, 557, big area of resistance, not too far away from all-time highs. If it can get through 557, this does look pretty good, so that's going to be the main level that I'm interested in trading around. Also watching Facebook. Now Facebook, little extended, does look like it has some room down to the 9 EMA. So if for some reason the market starts to roll over below 310, this does look good for a quick short. If it's still strong, then all-time high, 315.88. So those are the main levels I'm looking at. But this is not going to be a main watch for me. This really is just if the market does start to see some selling, I really do believe that below 310, this could be a very nice move. And then also watching BABA. So BABA had the big gap up, coming into a massive area of resistance right around 240. Also has the 50 SMA above at 243.66. So a little hesitant to want to go long on this just because I feel like in the current market, the big gap ups are really tough to go long. You chase the gap up and a lot of times, they come in. So you haven't really been rewarded by chasing strength. Right, so pre-market high, 239.90. If they can get through that, get through 240, looks like it's pretty strong. Maybe it has some room to the 50 SMA right around 243. And then I'm also going to be watching Dash. So I had a really nice candle the day prior. Check out this 141, pretty beaten up on the daily. Got back above the short-term moving averages. Does have a lot of space to the 50 SMA. If it gets through 141, this does look like it could be a possible second day continuation trade. So that looks pretty good. Pretty sure the options on this are terrible, so this would be one where I would trade stock. So that's the watch list. Those are the levels. I'm just going to make sure to keep calm, not take a lot of trades, just relax on a Monday, try to see if I can find one or two good setups, take advantage of them, and then like I always talk about, if I can get some good moves off the open pretty quick, I'm better off just calling it. All right, there's the bell. Now let's see if there's any clean setups today. And that right there is a good example of why I don't like taking quick patterns off the open in the current market. Because that did look like a nice 1 minute opening range break. Tesla with the gap up, took out that high and instantly stuffed. So it wasn't too long ago that pattern was actually okay and had some follow through. And just from, sitting in front of the screens every day, realizing that the market environment has changed a bit, and that type of pattern is extremely dangerous now, more than it was only a handful of months ago. Really like when there is a handful of minutes, even a little bit longer, 5-10 minutes of consolidation, because then it shows, okay, this is holding up. This looks pretty good. Now it's taking out the high. I feel much better about that kind of setup now than taking something really quick off the open. I'm looking at Dash, but one thing I can already tell, similar to the trade that I took on CRWD, is low volume. It's a little spready. It is coming up to that technical level, 141, but just some of the other factors that I don't really like. Tightening up a little bit, but still, volume is a little low, and the spread can really widen up at times. So I am watching it, but just want to make sure to be careful. If I were to take this trade, I'd like to see a few more minutes of consolidation, spread not be so wide, and I would trade very small size. Only take 100 shares on this, but 141 is a major level. If it gets through it, it does look like it has a chance to continue. So it did push up to 141, but I do not want to chase strength. 4 big green candles in a row. I've learned my lesson the hard way many times by chasing that before. I'd really like some sort of flag pattern. I don't want to just chase it just because it simply got to that technical level. It's all about how it gets there, and can it form some sort of tight pattern before breaking it, or even get through it, hold up, form a nice flag, and then it just took out that momentum level. Maybe there's another move higher, but it has to form some sort of flag pattern. I do not want to chase it. It would have been nice, yes, looking at it now and saying, oh, look, I missed, a big move. But I know that if I continue to chase strength, if I take trades like that, if I take 10 of them, a good chunk aren't going to work out. So I always want some sort of consolidation prior to the break. So I'm watching. I just don't really see anything that I love, to be honest. I mean, Tesla, it did eventually have a bit of an opening range break, but when it had the push through, pulled back in, pretty aggressively. It feels like it's lower volume a little bit. And Dash would have been okay, but just straight up through 141. I don't ever want to chase strength, even if that means the occasionally missing a setup, whatever. I want to make sure that anytime I take a setup, there's some sort of consolidation. I don't want to just chase through levels, because yes, it works sometimes, but if I take that trade a lot, I know there's going to be a chunk of times where it comes back in pretty aggressively, and that's where those losses can be pretty big. So out of all the names that I'm looking at, I just don't really see much. And Tesla just pretty much went, it broke that 687 and it's just gone straight up. I'd really like to see this consolidate for a little bit. Pretty nice flag pattern. And then that would look okay for a long. But I'm also watching SPY and Qs, and they feel a little tired at the moment. It feels like everything overall is just a little bit lower volume, so I'm making sure to be careful. Now this Facebook does look interesting. It's coming to that 310, which is prior day's low. Still a very strong stock, so this is going, opposite of the trend of the daily chart. But if it takes out 310, it does look like there is some downside room. Lower volume right now, so still just watching, but that could be a possible setup. Also got Tesla coming up to pre-market high. It is a little extended though. That probably would have been an okay flag, but that just came from 683, so 10 points very fast. And then funny enough, Baba had the big gap up, and I honestly thought, if you had to tell me which way this was going to go, I thought this was going to sell off. And of course, it does the exact opposite. So nice opening range break, 239. Pretty big move, pulls back, very quick flag pattern. Nice move right there, both totally scalpable. So there were some opportunities there. Probably was overthinking a little bit, but with such a big gap up, I really did not want to chase strength, especially in the current market. I've noticed that more times than not, it usually ends up pulling in. And right now, SPY showing some weakness, Q's showing some weakness. So does this end up being a downtrend of some sort, or does the dip get bought? So we're almost 30 minutes in and still no trades for me, which is pretty rare. I usually take a lot of quick trades off the open, but I can tell you that I just didn't really like anything off the open, and I'm trying to do my best moving forward. And if I don't see anything that's really clean, just don't feel the need to have to push it and trade a lot, because that can sometimes kickstart some issues for me where I start over trading, I get a little crazy, and then what would have been just a boring flat day, which is okay, can turn into a nasty red day. To be honest, I almost took that high day trade, but I didn't want to chase it. I really wanted to see a little bit more consolidation, but this is clearly strong, so I'm going to be watching this, and what I want to see now is a nice push. Can we form some sort of flag, hang up pretty tight, and then next leg higher? Okay, so I was watching Tesla. Netflix is coming to that 557. So pretty big technical level on the daily. Feels like the market, the dip got bought a little bit. SPY and Qs found a little support. Netflix kind of chopped around a little bit. Even had a little bit of a sell-off below VWAP. Found some support. Nice strong move coming up to that major technical level, 557 on the daily. SPY and Qs are starting to push a little bit and then get to that 557. I do like this. Okay, I'm going to go for that 557 break. 4 contracts filled at 664. And this can really get going. 557 was a major technical level. So still want to scalp it, but maybe give it an extra minute or two just to see if this can really get going. Maybe this gets to like 560 plus. All right, I'm just getting out of that. So that was a nice flag. That looked like it had a chance. Maybe this continues, but I don't want to be a part of a pullback. I knew I was kind of fluctuating right around flat as far as the contracts go. So gave it a chance. Gave it an extra minute. I normally take that quick move. Thought this really could get going. And then the moment it pulled in, just get out of it so that way I'm not involved in any sort of pullback. I do like this Tesla. It is hanging up here. Nice and strong. Starting to form a flag pattern. High day is 703.04. If it takes that out, maybe there's one more move higher. It definitely is extended, but still looks good. Taking it for the 703 break. All right, I'm just coming out of that. So had the push. It just kind of stalled out just under that new high. So went to go make a new high. Just hung out for a minute. Maybe this goes. But when it starts to slow down, especially being this extended from VWAP, I'd rather just take the quick move because if it does pull back, it could be a pretty fast pullback. And I'm glad I ended up getting out. I could just feel it. That was more price action. I guess that's probably just an experience thing. But also knowing how Tesla moves, fails to make a new high. It's extended from VWAP. Just got out of it because I don't want to hold it. I hate when I, hold things, and I can be guilty of doing that. And then the moment it starts to slow down, just bailed on it. And lucky enough, I avoided the pullback. Now, this could totally go higher, but I don't want to be a part of that before it goes higher. And then similar with Netflix. So I really thought Netflix had a chance to break out 557. Held on to it for probably a minute longer than I normally do, but I was up on the position, so I knew that worst case scenario, just try to get out flat when it comes back to my entry. This was a nice quick flag pattern that did not go. So made a push higher and failed. And then the moment it showed some weakness, I just got out for a small win. So obviously have taken 2 trades so far. And I feel like I did a good job at trying to give them a chance to go. And then the moment that they don't, just get out. And both of them small wins. Okay, so going on 45 minutes into the day. And just to kind of touch on where I am. 2 trades. Didn't really like much off the open. The very first trade that I took was 33 minutes into the day, which is a little bit later than normally I take my first trade. So I can just already tell that maybe I was processing things a little slow after the weekend and I just didn't really like anything, wasn't favorable price action. So already now know I need to play defense. And just to look at what SPY's doing. So SPY had the push, sold off. It actually looked like this was going to go lower. Found some support and kind of just chopping around right now. Similar with Qs. I thought maybe this would have been a start to something bigger. Found some support, kind of just chopping around VWAP. Tesla. Tesla did have a nice opening range break. It even did have the high of day break. And for some reason, I just kind of hesitated in taking it. Ended up getting a very small move on the flag pattern up here, which is fine. Looking at Netflix, I thought this 557 break had a lot more in it. I really thought this was going to go 560, maybe even higher than that. But I'm glad that I didn't hold it out of stubbornness rather than it has to do this, knowing that it broke the technical level. It did not continue to go higher, showed some weakness, and I just got out of the trade and ended up making a little bit on it instead of holding it and being a part of this pullback. Facebook actually did break 310. So a level that I mentioned, I didn't even take. But that would have been a nice trade. Broke 310, and there was 2 points to the downside. Now, I would have never caught the 2 points, but at least maybe 50 cents to $1, I think would have been nice to catch there. BABA. Didn't want to chase strength on this because I, in a way, was a little biased to believing that this had a better chance at selling off. And of course, I think one thing and it does the other. Actually had a couple nice setups to the upside off the open. Dash did get to that 141, but it was how it got there. 4 points straight up before finally breaking it. I really wish this had a nice push. Little bit of consolidation before the 141, and I would have felt better about taking that with small share size because the options aren't good. So 2 trades. 2 small wins, and that's going to be it for me. So just going into the portfolio, made 155 on Tesla calls and 98 bucks on the Netflix calls to be up 253. Not a lot, but just based on how today was, kind of not really seeing anything that I liked, I will happily take that in under 1 hour of work. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.